7500 is Patrick Vollrath's feature directorial debut. He made a short before, which was nominated for the Academy Award of that year. This movie follows a co-pilot played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, whose plane gets hijacked mid-flight. It is a 92-minute contained thriller, and it is presented almost in real time. Before I get into this review, I just want to say I am a huge sucker for claustrophobic thrillers or just bottle films in general. If you don't know, I love the idea of minimal locations filmmaking so much. I made a 40-minute video summing up every single one I've watched at that point, called the Bottle Compendium 1. I'll leave a card up there. We talked about everything from Lock, The Guilty, all the way to Rear Window. So to get with the review, as I said, 7500 is a bottle film. It only takes place in this cockpit and we never leave this place. Patrick decided to take the more realistic approach to the material of not scoring the film. I don't think there's any music accompanying this thing, considering it probably would come off jarring as the characters don't move much and there's really no place to move to, which I think ultimately was a good choice. A lot of the thrills, a lot of the suspense occurs internally with these characters. 7500 is told almost in real time, so we get a lot of shots of our characters thinking, digesting the information and the terrible situation that has been handed their way, which illuminates their inner struggles, I think, pretty effectively. However, this is the point where the film faltered just a tad bit, and that is the editing. It's quite inconsistent. It's clear that they shot some particular scenes from many angles, but the way these shots are put together sometimes feels very procedural and, may I say, artificial. Is like the classic Hollywood editing style where we start from a two shot and we get shoulder, reverse, and the medium close up and then reverse, yada yada yada, where it doesn't matter if it makes sense because it worked. Really, for decades, and as long as it is cohesive, it's fair game. The issue I have here is that the editing feels dead and plain. There's no life or flexibility to it. We get some lingering sequences in which some of the shots can be trimmed a few seconds short, and some of which we're cutting just because. In regards to the performances and characters, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was great as always. He really should be in more movies. I mean, he did take a few years off because of his kid, but he did do some cameos here and there in the last few years. When someone's talking about the horns in Inception, I was in there like, yo, this guy is hot damn. The character he played, Tobias, this co-pilot, is giving just enough information and connection for the viewers to side with him, which in this case, I think is all we really need. The side characters though, I find them very disposable. They are there because if they're not, the world won't make any sense, such as the captain. Why is there a captain? Well, because in a plane, there's a captain and the co-pilot. That's how it works. And that's his character, the captain. He's a real life captain in real life, by the way. Just thought it was cool. Overall, 7500 is intense. Joseph Gordon-Levitt in a bottle film is right up my alley. The performance is terrific. It is well shot. The image looks very crisp. The cold color palette brings out a feeling of isolation and vulnerability, and the lighting is mostly minimalistic as well. There's also one time where I completely predicted the dialogue of a scene. Sometimes when I watch a film, I tend to think how I would write the upcoming scene in my head, and just as I whispered out a line under my breath, the character on screen said that exact line. It scared the shit out of me. So whatever you make from that information is up to you. I just thought it's interesting. Anywho, is the editing and some flat characterizations I can't entirely get on board with. 7500 gets a B-.
The movie does bring up a feeling of claustrophobia because the whole thing is all set in the cockpit of an airplane. And I think that claustrophobic feeling actually serves as a great metaphor for what the story is about. That the world is getting smaller. We as a human race are all feeling kind of claustrophobic. We don't have anywhere else to go. We all just are sharing this one planet, Earth. There's so many different people from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different cultures, and that's a wonderful thing. But it also sometimes leads to prejudice. It leads to tensions of people dehumanizing each other and putting each other in boxes. And this movie is about how people in that claustrophobic setting need to overcome that tendency to dehumanize and to focus on prejudice, and need to figure out what we have in common as humans, even though we might come from very different places or different perspectives.